Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be organizing Blood on the Clocktower, the Kickstarter Edition designed by Stephen Medway and published by the Pandemonium Institute. This is an organized copy of the game with no lid lift that's set up to get gameplay started as soon as possible, as well as facilitate the game while it's being played. If you have any questions about what you see here, please let me know down in the comments below, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you do. It is the best way to help us grow. With that being said, let's get started organizing Blood on the Clocktower. Before we begin, I do want to mention that when we play Blood on the Clocktower, we have the storyteller wear this purple robe. I think it's very fun and thematic having them have this hooded figure, and it's very easy for everybody who's playing to identify who the storyteller is. So I'll leave a link in the description below where you can find this sort of cloak, and I do think it's a great way to spice up your games of Blood on the Clocktower, as well as offering some utility. With that being said, let's lift off the lid here, and inside you'll see that we have all of our large paper rulebooks on top. Blood on the Clocktower has 5 different rulebooks, with the main rulebook giving you an overview of the entire game and more of a guide on how to actually run things smoothly for the storyteller as well as the players. Use this to get the understanding of the game, and then when you're ready, dive into the scenario rulebooks, which will give you all of the information on the characters as well as specific details, how to run them, and then a great breakdown with examples on each of the characters for each of the scenarios. Very well done for each of them. So you'll have all 3 of the different scenario booklets in here. And then you'll have one final booklet. This is the Travelers and Fabled rulebook. And this is going to give you the Travelers, which are drop-in characters. Maybe somebody has to leave early. These will be great characters for that. As well as Fabled, which are characters that the storyteller can actually take on. These are going to change the game slightly, so it's up to you how you want to implement them. They can hinder or help new players or advanced players, so it's up to you how you want to incorporate them. Underneath all of our paper rulebooks, we have this large Blood on the Clocktower main game board. You're going to put this in the center of all the players and place all the life tokens and vote tokens around it. Now, the reason that we have this here is that all of your paper components are going to stay nice and flat when they're on here. It's also easy to take them out. You have that in there like so, and you'll lift it out like this, and you're able to get the rulebooks you need. Super nice, and it's going to keep things nice and sturdy. Speaking of sturdy, we also have our stands for the Grimoire. You'll simply open it up like so, and then place this cardboard piece in this section like this. This is going to give you a stand that you can actually put the Grimoire on when you're not using it, and it really does help out with that presentation factor. Up next, we have our clear plastic folders that are going to be holding all of your reference information. Now, you have 2 different sizes, one with all the scenario sheets, as well as one that's going to have the setup guides, and then your first night guides, etc. Let's take a look in detail at this larger size. So we'll take off that plastic bag here, and inside you'll see that we have our setup guide, as well as the explaining the rules section, all of your night guides for Trouble Brewing, Bad Moon Rising, and then we also have lastly the explaining the rules and then the Travelers explanations. This is going to be good when you do decide on using those Travelers characters, and you can put this information public so that people can see how many different roles are going to be allocated based on the number of players playing. So all of that is going to go into this large plastic container. These next 3 smaller plastic folders are going to have all of your scenario sheets included. As mentioned before, you'll take them out like so and divvy out 1 to each player. These are all going to be the same, so I won't go into too much detail on them, but they're just all of the available roles, and you'll need to make sure that every player has access to one of these so they can get an idea of who could potentially be in the game based on the different scenarios that they're playing. So we have our last one here, and then we'll move them to the side. And that brings us to our bottom section, which is going to have the different characters and tokens needed for the different scenarios, the always available tokens here, as well as your various components at the top. First off, we'll start off with this clear plastic bag that's going to hold all of your different Kickstarter components. You won't need them for right now, or unless you are planning on creating your own custom scenarios, or if you're going to be waiting for the release of custom scenarios from the Pandemonium Institute. Now, the Kickstarter edition of the game did come with another purple bag here that you can put those Kickstarter components in, but I actually do prefer this plastic bag because it's easy to tell, oh, this is the one we're not using, as opposed to having 2 purple bags and maybe confusing the 2. So it cuts down the setup just a little bit, but I like being able to clearly see that this is the one we're not using. If you're comfortable, you can also store this outside of the game box. It's up to you, but it will fit inside of here. Speaking of purple bags, we now move on to the purple bag that you'll be using every game. You'll be putting all of the roles for the game inside and then passing them around for the different players to choose. With that being said, we also are actually going to store in some every game components inside as well as these tokens. These tokens are going to be used for giving specific information that you can't give with your hand symbols, and we'll show you in a bit how to prepare these inside of your Grimoire, and then you'll have these clips that are going to go on the side of your book, like so, to keep it nice and clamped together. Once again, I'll go into detail on how to use these, but simply pour them into your Grimoire, and then now your bag is ready to go to get the tokens for assigning player roles. The last two containers here are a variety of different tokens. You get them 10 for $1 at the Dollar Tree, and I really love the way that the lids pop off like so, and they actually fit super nicely in the Grimoire. They're going to be held down with the gravity and just the way that you're going to be holding them, and they make nice token reserves and dishes that you can consistently pull some from, place on the board, and then take stuff off and put it back. So I really like the way that these are implemented, and once again, at 10 for $1. I'll give you a more in-depth version of how this setup is going to look like, and you can look in the timestamps of this video if you want to skip ahead and see how it's all set up. In our first container, we're going to have all of our night reminder tokens. Based on the different characters that are in the game or the different roles that are alive or killed, you'll be placing these little tokens on the side of your reminder sheet. This is a great way to identify for the storyteller who is actually going to need to be activating their effect and when. And in our second container, we have all of our death tokens. You'll lift that lid off and put it into the Grimoire, and then whenever a character is killed, you'll put that token on top of their character to show that. Sometimes they may be resurrected, so you'll take that back off and put it back in the token dish. Once again, links in the description below for the things I talk about here in this video, including these great 10 for $1 containers. And that brings us to our last section, all of our different encounter boxes, as well as your use every game box here at the bottom. First off, we'll talk about the encounter boxes. I'll only go through one of them so you can see how they're organized, and then apply the same logic to the other three boxes. Let's take a look inside of this Trouble Brewing box. We'll lift this lid like so, and inside you'll see that we have a variety of different tokens in here. On the left and right side, we're going to be putting reminder tokens. These are essentially the way that we tell that, hey, this person used their effect on another person. And we have the tokens here separated into red tokens, as well as on the left side, we have all of your blue tokens. And you'll have those for the different roles. Now, this is specifically for Trouble Brewing, so it's going to have all of the roles for Trouble Brewing. And you can find all the roles on the player sheet for Trouble Brewing here. If you'd like to, you can go ahead and pause the video so you can see all the roles for Trouble Brewing and then put them into their indicated spaces into their cardboard container. In addition to organizing everything based on the scenario, you also have two different subcategories in the good and evil team. You have the minions here who are going to be helping out that bad team, and their section is even going to be labeled here by it saying minion inside of the box. And then you'll have the demon themselves. This is the endgame goal for the team that is good to take out with an execution. There's also a silica gel packet in here for freshness. Inversely, on the good side, we have the Townsfolk with positive, beneficial abilities for the good team, and then the Outsiders, which are still in the good team, but generally will have some more negative effects. And just like the minions, they're going to be labeled inside of the boxes here what those different spaces are going to be for. Our Townsfolk as well as our Outsiders. So put those into their boxes like that. So that's everything inside of the Trouble Brewing box, and you'll follow the same organization pattern for Bad Moon Rising and Sects and Violets as well. And you'll want to follow that list here. I'll leave it up so that you can pause the video if you'd like, so you can see which roles go for which box. So here's the first one for Sects and Violets, and then we also have our one for Bad Moon Rising. Once again, pause that video if you need to help you with setting up your game. We'll remove those last two scenario boxes, and now we'll talk about the Travelers and Fabled box. And this one's going to be a little bit different because it's going to house some of our every game components. Let's lift off the lid here, and inside you'll see that we have our life and vote tokens, as well as another silica gel packet here for freshness. So these life tokens you're going to put in that main game board to show where the characters are seating, and when a player does die, you'll flip that token over, and then you'll take those vote tokens from this right side here to indicate that they have their ghost vote available. So it's very important that you do have access to these, and you flip them back and forth when the need be. To the left of our Evergame tokens, you'll then have all of your Travelers and Fabled tokens. These are all of the different Travelers in the game and which scenario that they could be used for. So go ahead and stack them based on that. If you need to, go ahead and pause the video so that it can help you with your organization. The Traveler role tokens themselves are going to be in two distinct sections, and in addition to all of the different Traveler tokens, you'll also have all of the Traveler life tokens in here as well. These Traveler life tokens are going to have this gold background to indicate that they are not just a normal Townsfolk, minion, or demon. So everybody is going to know which players are playing as Travelers. And underneath that, you'll have all of the different tokens that are required for the abilities of the Travelers. So that's going to be all in this section here, and then the remaining Travelers are all going to be in that section. And the last character tokens we have are the Fabled. Now, these Fabled are going to be used by the storyteller as additional roles and rules that everybody needs to be aware of. So that being said, they're all going to be stored onto this left side here, and then all of the reminder tokens to the left of them. So that's everything inside of that Travelers and Fabled. Now let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to set up the Grimoire before we actually start packing it up. So now that we've seen all of the components, let's go through how to actually set up this Grimoire with our organization system. So first thing, you want to make sure that this longer side is actually actually on the left side here. And so our shorter sides, including our other Grimoire, can go together nicely. So see that longer side, we'll flip it over so it is on that side instead. And we'll put that in the center like so. We'll then dump all of the contents of our purple bag on the right side here, and then take these clips and put them in the center like so. Put them all in the center like that. And then we'll take all of our roll tokens like this and put them there. We'll then take the Travelers and Fabled box and open it up like so, and we'll put it on this bottom right section. After choosing your scenario, you'll do the same thing with that box and lift it like so, and then put it on the left side. Next up, we're going to put in those Dollar Tree containers. We'll first snuggle up all of these tokens to the left side of the right Grimoire, and then put the next tokens here just above those, and then the next tokens just above those. So that way you have all of your dishes ready to go, and also room for reminder tokens as well as your night reminder tokens here. Put in that reference sheet with that first night board like so. That way it's nice and snuggled up into this upper right corner. And as I mentioned before, you'll actually have room to place those night tokens even in between your different containers here. So you'll put those based on the different roles that are playing as a reminder as to what is actually going to be going on during those night phases. You'll just put them back in there when you're done, or if you need to flip the sheet after your first night, you'll just flip it like so, and boom, you are ready to go for the rest of the nights for Blood on the Clocktower. All that's left is to assign all of the players their roles. You'll put all of those roles into this purple bag here, have them draw, and then collect them. And once you've collected them, you'll put them onto the left side of the Grimoire here based on their seating order. And then you'll find all of the reminder tokens for those characters that you see here, and then place them in this right side of the Grimoire and this upper left corner. And then you are ready to go. You are ready to play Blood on the Clocktower with our organization system. And that is everything inside of Blood on the Clocktower. Let's go ahead and pack it up. First off, let's return all of our different character tokens into their appropriate areas with all of your townsfolk, your outsiders, your minions, and the demon in their appropriate areas. Then we'll go ahead and take that scenario box out, make sure to put in those ability tokens into their appropriate spots, and then close it up with your lid. There's our Trouble Brewing ready to go. We'll take all of our reminder tokens as well as all of our clips in this center area and return them to the purple bag that should now be empty. Remember, we're just going to use the one with the Blood on the Clocktower insignia on it. We'll take out the scenario specific night reminder sheet and then put all the lids on our different token containers and put them into that upper right section. We'll close the lid on our Travelers and Fabled tokens and then put the rest of our scenario boxes into that right side, meaning that they're all going to be nice and flush to the bottom of that right side of the Grimoire like so. We'll go ahead and remove that left side of the Grimoire for now and slide our right side of the box into the center of the screen. In this upper right corner, we'll put all of the Kickstarter extra tokens like so, and then we'll take our purple bag and put it in that space in that upper left section. After that, we have all of our different scenario sheets that we'll put on the bottom left like so, and they're going to be nice and sturdy on top of these 4 boxes. We'll then place our setup and night reminder sheets as well as our stand for the Grimoire. We'll then place our central game board on top of that to keep all of your paper components nice and sturdy. And lastly, all of the different rule books for the game. And that is organizing Blood on the Clocktower. If you have any questions about what you saw here, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you need links to any of the things that I talk about here, please take a look in the description of the video. How do you organize your copy of Blood on the Clocktower? Do you still use that purple bag to store your Kickstarter components? What do you think of the cape? Is it a bit too much? What's your favorite scenario in the game so far? What's your favorite role? Do you prefer playing the game or being the storyteller? We'd love to hear what you think. But thank you so much for watching SideGame Strong.